tell us a little bit about your background and your company.
Sure. So I've been trying to build SaaS for like 25 years, successfully, or maybe success in progress for the last like 10 years. I run a couple companies. I'm the founder and CEO of Mailshake, a sales engagement tool used by like 60,000 or so sales and marketers. And then I get really bored easily and have ADD. So my business partner and I also started buying SaaS companies. And so we have 3 other SaaS companies, all in B2B SaaS, generally either a PLG effort or SMB, ultimately high velocity.
Okay.
I've just focused on B2B and high velocity for the last 10 years or so.
And at what stage are you buying them? Just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
have they received venture funding? Are they typically bootstrapped? Or?
So we buy companies at around $500,000 to $2 million ARR. Generally SMB focused, B2B. Sometimes they're failed ventures. Sometimes there's indie founder who's like, I've been doing this for a long time. I want to go do something else. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But generally, I buy a flat company or slightly declining, and I pump life. I try hard to pump life into it, and I'm successful most-ish of the time. It's not 100% successful.
I think most-ish is probably good enough. Like,
Successful more often than not.
Okay, good.
And then even the failures are like try to figure out a way around it. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you bring a team on then to work with them?
Yeah, exactly. So each company, we kind of run like a build to sell model.
Yep.
So like if tomorrow somebody gives us an offer, we actually have financials thanks to my business partner who's sitting back in the room. But and a lot of other things he does. But yeah, each one has his team, and so it's a really interesting process. When we're buying, we're also simultaneously interviewing and building the team in preparation for the buying, and in preparation for the sale. So it's hoping it goes through. And sometimes it doesn't, but it's all good. And we typically kind of use a new company to like level up our existing team. So I'll take like a promising sales rep from a Mailshake, and I'll promote him to like head sales lead or head of sales at our new company. So we kind of try to keep it in the ecosystem. Yeah,
that's really interesting because you're sort of training up your core people with different experiences.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about the world we're in now, which is not a pretty one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Down economy. I don't know.
Yeah, down. Well, out of curiosity for everyone here, how many people are thinking about saving money or reducing their budget on software, right? Like, who isn't? It's just a hard time.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, and I mean, I hear this. I work with tons and tons of SaaS clients, and I think everybody is trying to either cut people, cut budgets. But at the same time, yesterday I led a workshop about 7 things you can do, which have to do with, whether repositioning or studying your competition or just getting a little bit more strategic about what you're doing and more focused. So, my first question for you is, we talked a little bit before about what was going on with Mailshake. I said Milkshake. I don't. I must be on my mind.
No, you don't know. I try to buy the domain Milkshake. I know. I try to buy the domain and rebrand it. It's like a $10 million domain that's owned by.
So hold on to your domain names. You never know.
It's a dairy farmer who owns it.
Really?
So like, he's not letting go.
No. Okay, so Mailshake. Good name.
Good enough, right? Okay, we'll take it.
But what I'm curious about is you kind of took a pause and you said, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with this business that needs to change. What was the trigger moment? And what are some of the things that you did immediately to change the way that things
so last summer, I'd say last Q2 of last year, kind of like 3 months prior to this, we came to this like, holy crap, this isn't going to work long term. What we're doing doesn't fully make sense.
What is this?
Yeah, and so we're building companies, and our kind of North Star is exit value.
Right.
Not that we have to exit, but if we kind of use that North Star as like X dollar exit values, kind of generally each company has that like target. It means it has to be a profitable company, growing greater than 40% year over year. I can't be like doing 7 roles and roll up my sleeve. It has to have a team that comes with it. So it's like really a shortened version of a paragraph of things that need to be there. But one of the things so I'll tell you what was the catalyst. It was that every 6 to 12 months we're in the business of buying and selling SaaS businesses. We always like to evaluate what our business is worth. And we thought Mailshake was like $50 million company, and it was not. It was a order of magnitude off. More like a 0 off. And like, oh shit,
God.
what the hell am I doing here? If I'm spending and we're running at break even, we're spending all of our money, that all the revenue we get for exit value, but we're not worth that much. What's wrong?
Yeah.
And so when we looked at our business from an outside perspective, what's wrong is churn. We had like a 8 to 10% monthly churn business, and what ends up happening there is like, well, one, no one wants to buy that business because you're going to lose those customers in a year. And so that was the catalyst. And so when we realized that that is the case, we did a couple things to fix or address that issue. So it's not like we woke up one day and said, oh, wow, our churn's high. We always had high churn.
Yeah.
We've always tried to fix it, and we made small improvements.
And what do you know why? Why the high churn? I mean, sometimes it's just free trialists and they just, not into it. What were
I'd say the churn, main two reasons were it was activation churn. So we actually, my background's in marketing, so we optimize the crap out of our funnel. And we know that's the first thing we do when we buy a company. Just optimize the whole visitor to free trial to paid.
Yeah.
So Mailshake is a paid program. Like there's no free trial.
Right.
Because we want up the commitment, and you got to put in $60 a month to actually utilize the software. But doesn't mean you're actually going to be successful. So we had a lot of churn in the first 90 days to 180 days due to failure in succeeding in that. So, we tried a lot of things like onboarding, some done-for-you services, writing people's copy, and all sorts of stuff. But what the problem actually was is it's not the activation churn, it's actually the customer. We were getting a lot of customers just because you can pay $60 a month. It's a low friction enough to where, okay, I'll pay $60 a month, but I don't really know what my value prop is. I don't have my products not validated. And so we got a lot of people who were like not fully committed to doing this or working with us to figure it out.
And probably easy to cancel.
Easy,
correct?
Very straightforward to cancel. So, so long story short, we actually switched to yearly plans and decided to move up market. So we're really focusing on the S of the SMB, and where the money is at, as well as where the committed customers are at, is when you have at least 2 to 3 salespeople on your team. So when you have 2 to 3 salespeople on your team, that's when you actually have a proven model of like, not necessarily fully proven, but somewhat proven that you can actually do outbound sales or inbound sales successfully. And so at our price point, so part of this was our price point and who we were going after didn't align.
Yeah.
Because the people with 3 to 5 people sales teams and greater, they were going to a lot of competitors because they were going through this like, they weren't used to self-service. So they were buying some software like Outreach and SalesLoft and kind of they were buying enterprise software when really they just were used to an enterprise motion. And so when we said, hey, go buy this on your own, you can do it yourself, they're like, wait, I don't know how to do that. Like that doesn't make sense to me. So we added sales, and we also, again, changing the pricing around to yearly. And the second problem we had was so high churn. And then the second thing was our ACV was too small. So meaning we weren't charging, the value of our customer wasn't high enough for our contract value. We've actually probably like 6x'd it now.
Wow.
One part of that was like increasing the pricing and going to yearly. The second thing is we added more things to sell. So we added more products, and we're working on more products to add so that we can continue to increase our ACV. And then we got rid of that churn, right? So again, going back to that churn problem, if the customer's not committed to making whatever they're trying to do successful, it really won't work no matter what you have.
So how much analysis did you do with sort of your existing customers, the new ones coming in, why they were buying you? And I guess also, did you do any kind of win-loss analysis to understand, why you over
absolutely.
others?
So the company has grown mostly through word of mouth and inbound marketing for the 7 years we've been in existence. And it's, for the most part, gone up and to the right. And when we were like, oh, crap, this up and to the right motion kind of ends soon with our churn rate. Like you'd have to get significantly more customers to make it work, or charge more, get more revenue from each customer. It was a force function to say, okay, well, like, are we getting the right customer, right? And in reality was no. But what we did is a lot of messaging. So how do we get the right customer? And so like, oh, let's go after the channels where the right customers are. So we went from doing inbound marketing to really getting out there on LinkedIn, because that's where sales reps really live, and doing a lot more outbound so we can go specifically after the right customer. But when we did this, we had a messaging problem, and the messaging was on our website was like, I don't know, book more demos, and it really sounded like the other 104 companies in the space.
Yeah.
There was really no differentiator. So we used a company called Winter.
Who was here
Winter,
earlier.
Yeah, exactly. He was here. So we used Winter. We targeted VP of sales, sales leaders, and we ran our copy through them. And the common response was, "What the heck makes you different than the other 104?" There's 104 competitors. When we started, there was 14. And so things changed, right? Messaging didn't matter as much in the beginning. And reality is, like, because we're growing through word of mouth and inbound marketing, we could just say Mailshake is awesome and people would still convert.
Right.
But it didn't get the right customer. And so we really audited our messaging and revamped everything. And what we found was there's one problem that people care about right now, which was deliverability. Where we win is email deliverability. Why we started this business was, like, at the time when I started, there was a lot of kludgy software. And so, like, we're going to make this cheap and easy to use. That messaging kind of died over time.
Yeah.
Like, it almost, with 104 competitors, it became like table stakes, right? So we were still leading with, our messaging was table stakes messaging, when really we should be leading from a position of advantage.
So deliverability, I'm assuming all of you know what that means. So were you able to prove deliverability? Like, we're 99%?
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
We doubled down on that. We got a lot more stats. I mean, the reality is, with our open rates, we built like some calculators, and our sales team, all of our marketing copy, everything we focused on and talk about is email deliverability. So we went double down in there. And then that was about last summer, and it worked. And then the economy continued to get worse, right? It wasn't like it was great economy when we did this last summer, but it got significantly worse. And so a new message came out of there, which was cheap, lower cost. Like, people were like, everyone here, like, trying to save money on your software expenses or reduce costs any means necessary, or most means necessary. What do you want? You want to reduce, you'd buy software that's lower cost but does the same thing.
Yeah.
People started shopping around with that, and so we leaned into that messaging. Now, I don't want to plaster that on my website.
It's like, we're cheaper.
We do the same thing, but we're cheaper, right? That just sounds shitty. So we figure out a way, we massage it into our conversations, but it's still deliverability focused on the actual front of the website. Yeah.
So did you do any assessment about, like, switching, for example? Did you have people switch off of your competitors and adopt you? Was that because it was cheaper, or the deliverability?
So,
like, what were the reasons?
Occasionally. So actually, that's a good point. So we tried to convert. Turns out our competitors are pretty smart.
Yeah.
When we win on cheaper, they just match our prices.
Yes.
Eventually, right? Like, so like 3 months, awesome, we got a bunch of customers, and they're like, nope, they match the prices. It's just a continual, like, another month or two of like, nope, that didn't work. That's not going to work anymore.
Right.
And so the switching costs are high. Like, it's not like there's manual, like, time involved.
Yes.
And so, if you're switching for like half the price, but you have to pay a bunch of payroll to do it, you're not really saving much money for a while. And so cheaper didn't work out all the time either. But what we found was, again, this is all about laser focusing on this ICP. And you see, I'm talking about short-term focuses. Like, every quarter, we're like, oh, this is what's working. Okay, no, you know what? That's not working anymore. Let's go over this way. And I think we're in a time where you have to really focus on short-term growth or short-term revenue opportunities to survive long-term.
Yes.
And you don't have to abandon what you're doing long-term. Like I said, deliverability is still our core messaging, but we've got these, like, various tactical things. And so, long story short, we stopped going after customers that our competitors we stopped going after competitors' customers, and we go after customers that are just building out their teams. They're not using any software, or a lot of customers use a CRM for their, like, all their outbound sales or their sales automation, and it's just not an effective way to do it. So we're like, hey, if you did this, if you use us and your CRM, you're going to get way better results.
Okay,
And
so
we went
these
after
were
that.
newer. These were users who were not using a current solution.
Exactly.
So you're going after kind of a younger.
We went after a tangential. Yeah.
Were those also in like the same industries that you had been targeting, or like I've talked to and also been through an experience of expanding to different verticals that have similar types of people in them, but just a different like med devices. You know,
the problem with horizontal software is like everybody. I hear this all the time.
Yeah,
everybody can use my software. Well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah, and
the
problem.
That is exactly the problem.
Yeah.
So you can't be everything for everybody. And so we had to choose the people we went after. So we went laser focused. So for example, our competitors are Outreach and SalesLoft. They crush the tech industry. So we don't go after tech. Like we don't win there.
Yeah.
If we win there, we're lucky. That's just because like, they have a brand. They've spent millions of dollars on it. We win in real estate agents. We win in, various verticals. And so we went very specific to different verticals. Even again, back to the website messaging globally is just the same thing, but vertical specific in our outbound and then direct efforts.
So 2 questions on the vertical motion. So how much education do you have to do for those types of customers? Like, do they, can you ride on the coattails of SalesLoft and
Yeah, no, I think so.
Outreach?
Email deliverability doesn't work if they don't have a deliverability, if they're unaware of a deliverability problem, right? And so there has to be a education on or advocating on, is there a problem, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we ask. Like, are you getting this open rate? Are you having a deliverability issue? The reality is once you know there's a problem with deliverability, it hits you in the face. It's like, oh shit, now my emails are getting sent, or like my open rate plummets.
Yeah.
So when you know there's a problem, that's what we found out. So like the education didn't work for us.
So it was really about the problem itself and not like, hey, have you ever heard of sales sequencing?
Right. And we're listening out there. What is everyone talking about? And we didn't just come to deliverability because we're really good at it. It's also an industry-wide trend where people are having trouble with deliverability. So we just met into a topic that made sense.
Yeah. So you name the problem and you got, and then the second thing that often comes up, I work with a couple clients who are wanting to approach new verticals, and they think that they have to sort of align all the marketing to that vertical.
Yeah.
So for example, if they want to sell to real estate, now they've got to be an authority on real estate.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true? Or how much customization did you do?
I think it's easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
It is true, but you don't have to only do that, right? So like we have another company called ZoomShift, HR scheduling software, and we've got like hospitals, coffee shop, restaurants, police departments, like government municipalities use us. And so if we said everything about like we're the best scheduling for police departments, it's like there's our 500 customers, out there for that. So we have vertical specific landing pages, but our main website is more like horizontally focused.
Yeah.
So I think you can be vertically specific in certain parts of your website without isolating that customer or the rest of the customers.
I mean, 85% of it's the same product.
Yeah.
They
It's
still have the same
thing.
problem.
Yeah, it's same thing.
Yeah.
But here's how you can get vertical specific is, so let's say in this ZoomShift example, we could ask during the onboarding and sign up flow, hey, what kind of business do you have? Boom. We could tailor the experience towards that one business and create multiple vertical paths. Or you can do a marketing hack, which is ask them the question and do nothing different and say you did something different, right?
Yeah.
Present it as, oh, okay, we're going to set you up for hospitals. Oh, you're a police department? Okay, we're going to walk you through the onboarding flow for police departments. Even though it's the same thing, they feel
like you've personalized it.
Exactly. And again, I know it's 85, 90% of the flow, the software is the same thing, but they don't know that. They don't know. They want something specific for them. And so if you have verticals you can focus on, I think it's leaning into those things. And again, the best way to do that is ask those questions during your early sales calls. In any form people fill out, especially if they're doing a demo, ask that information, because it's just going to come across as like, oh, you're looking into my details, and maybe it's going to be personalized.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I think we're sort of at time, are we? I can't actually see it sitting here. So thank you very much for
my pleasure.
Yeah, and you can reach him at Mailshake, not Milkshake.
Yeah, we apparently we bring all the leads to the yard.
Yes.
Yeah, anyways, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, great. All right.